that it was a bit of a vague answer, but honestly, like what you said is fine. Like I just need to balance out what would make me less stressed. And I think what you said about maybe going out for a walk and something like that might help me with that.
Yeah, it's relating something to your stress. And it is like for me, obviously go for a walk. There's something called like the apple test, which people do when they're hungry. And it's like you go to eat like an apple or a piece of fruit, something like that. And if you don't fancy the apple, like when they do it on a hunger test, it's like you're not actually hungry, you're more than likely thirsty if you don't fancy the apple. And it's the same as when you're stressed. It's like go and relate something that you would like a piece of fruit or something helping. If it's like if you go to have that and you don't want it, it just it triggers you to realize, right, I'm not actually hungry, I don't need to eat, I'm just stressed. And it's relating that something to it, like a walk. But again, don't be scared to have the snack. But if you know down yourself, if you have it, it's going to lead to like the full biscuit thing going, then obviously that is something that you need to be aware of and try and trigger things in different ways. Do it, and it is hard. But like you say, it's like limiting what you have available. For example, like I was using that dairy milk example. Once that dairy milk's gone, it's gone. So my absolute limit is 500 calories. Do you know what I mean? I can't go over that 500 because that's all I have in the house. Do you know what I mean? So it's like being aware of your environment and limiting your environment. So keep things there, for example, because like people say, "Oh, make sure you don't have treats, etc., in the cupboard." But you're going to have something, and you will need something, and you probably just drive to the garage and buy something, and then go all out. Whereas if you've got like a limited sort of thing there, like a 500 calorie chocolate bar, that's the most you can go over. And then next day, as soon as you're back into your 200-300 calorie deficit, you're going back to it. And you've got to remember, being in a deficit, if you have something up to like 300, 500, you're probably not going to put on weight. You're probably just going to maintain that day and then come back down. Weight will spike up, which is what we're going to talk about today, but it will come back down, which is the most important thing, as long as you're back on it the next day. And then in terms of eating out and eating on the go, this is gone, Claire. Do you have a question?
Yes, I was just going to ask you, when you're saying like you've got your chocolate in the cupboard, you're like 500 calories. Is that like, would you have that in like one sitting as your treat, or is that like your like for the week? Like, I know I'm just going to be like over by 500 over the week, or is it like, okay, I'm just needing it now? It would be like a 500 treat for the day.
Have you seen SpongeBob where Patrick pours a plate of food into his mouth? That's about how long a chocolate bar would last when I'm stressed.
Okay, fair enough.
I would hoover that up in the one sitting. Yeah, but that again, that's me personally. Like,
yeah,
Amira is someone who, like, she'll have like a line at a time, and even when she's stressed, she'll just pick at it. So it's subjective to you, but again, like, depending on what time of day you're stressed, if you're stressed at 9 a.m. and then you go and smash a chocolate bar, the likelihood of you picking something else throughout the rest of the day is gonna go. But like, I know this sounds stupid, but write things down. Like, write down why you're stressed, depending on what it is. If it's work, this is like something I used to do. Write three things down. What are the most three important things on your mind that are stressing you out? And just think, right, can they be done today? If you've got 10 things on your mind, especially at night, etc., write them down and think, what the first three things that I can do today. You can't really do much more than three things at one time. So write it out. And often you'll find that writing it down alone triggers it, because you're trying to think, right, what do I do? What do I do? And then by writing it down, saying that, I've got, I'm not going to pull you up today, Lisa, but Lisa's specialty is along these sort of lines, and Lisa will be able to help, and feel free to pipe up if you do want to, Lisa. But like, Lisa's expert in this. So yeah, it's relating certain things to certain topics. So for example, like, if you know you're stressed, what's your go-to when you're stressed? If you've got a lot on, what can you actually do and what can you actually control? And it's important to be aware of that. Like, if you know that like you're going to go full out of control, but if you have what, like they say, one biscuit out of the packet, you know you finished full, but don't have the first biscuit. But it's easier to say no to none than it is to one. Have you ever heard that saying, like, because if I say yes to one, I think, oh, well, fuck, I might as well finish this off and start again tomorrow. It's getting out that approach. It's understanding you're an adult. You can eat chocolate whenever you want. You can eat biscuits whenever you want. You can overeat whenever you want. So put yourself on a limit and be like, right, I know it's just me stressed, and relate it to other things. And this is what I'm going to say, your environment on that approach is important. So making sure, like I said, you've got a limited amount of stuff that can go back, which leads me quite nicely onto eating on the go and meals out. So this is sort of what I do. You see that I posted in the group the other day about like my ideal sort of diet. And this is something that I've created over time, is like, if I've got that ideal diet. So for example, my ideal breakfast is porridge. So what would I do if I didn't have time to make porridge in the morning, or I had to get it on the go because I'm out and about and I'm busy? And it's like, as simple as this. Let's just use the one I go to, right? Cooper's coffee shop, right? Any coffee shop that sells porridge. Like, obviously we don't have a Starbucks over here, but let's just use Starbucks, because one day when I make it big and we're international, I'm going to have to use these references. And don't worry, guys, I'll still remember you guys from ELIMIN8. But like, my porridge would be like, I'd make it at home. That's option one. Option two is I would pick it up from like a Co-op or a Tesco. You know, you get the is it Refuel? What's the name of the little porridge pots? Or like Quaker Oats, etc. That would be option two. It'd be like, well, I'd normally just make it. Option two is I'd get a quick on the go from the shop on my way to work. I'd pick up that porridge pot and just use that. Option three is I'd pick it up from like a Starbucks or something along them lines. And it goes with the same for your lunch. Is like, right, my fallback is I would make my chicken fajita salad. But if I don't have time to meal prep, or I don't have something to do, what is my go-to? It might be a Mexican chicken wrap along the same lines. Instead of rice, I'm having a wrap. It might be a tuna salad. And this is sort of what you go through when you start rotating your own meals. It's like, right, my normal lunch is 450 calories. If I don't fancy my normal lunch, what am I having instead? And it goes from the same way as what you do when you're when you're dieting and you're on the go. It's like, for me, like, I know, like I done on Sunday, because I'm being a little bit tighter on my calories because of the deadline for my holiday, and I want to look respectful in a photo shoot in Dubai. I'm picking things that I can track a little bit more. So like on Sunday, I was due to come home and make some food, etc. But I ended up going to my mates to watch the football. And ideally what I'd normally do is, for example, I could have picked up like a wrap from a shop or from like a kiosk, etc., etc. But I thought, do you know what? I'm not 100% on what's in that. It'll be there or thereabouts, but I'm trying to be that little bit tight. So I went to the Co-op and picked up a gym kitchen meal, something that I could scan. So I've got my three options there. I've got what I would make, what I'd get if I was to get from the shop, and then I've got obviously from like a kiosk out and a go, like Big J's, Burger Bar, etc. And then I've got obviously what I would get from the shop, the Co-op, and I knew straight away what I could fall back on. And that's basically what you would do on the go. Are you happy with that, Emma, as well? I'm picking on you just because you asked the question, but does that make sense? The camera's just gone off.
Yeah, it does.
Sound. Does
Yeah,
anyone have
thank you.
any more questions on anything or any topics before I move on to scale weight and why not to focus on it too much? Cool. Let's get to it. I've wrote some notes, so I'm just going to minimize my screen and get my notes up. So obviously we know the main thing on a calorie deficit is all about we want weight to come down, and we making sure we're obviously in that deficit in order for scale to come down. When I say weight, we're talking sort of like weight on the whole, but the idea is you get yourself into a position so you drop enough body fat, and then when your weight sort of maintains and plateaus, you're looking for more recomposition. So in the chat, let's make it a little bit more interactive. In the chat, give me a reason as to why your weight and body fat might not actually come down. But this doesn't include like I'm giving you an answer for someone else. Like, for example, if you had salt, your weight would go up, but your body fat could come down. What's the main reason your body weight and body fat would not come down on a diet? Water weight, not a bad shout, Claire. Anything else? Hormones. A lot simpler. Anyone want to pipe up? Moon. Well, we might touch on that. Muscle weight is more than fat. Yeah. Or the biggest one, you're not actually in a calorie deficit. It's simple as that. Something that gets overlooked quite often. Thinking you're tracking correctly, you might be making errors. You might be overeating. If any of you have kids and you're finishing off the food on their plate, or if you're like me and you polish off everyone's plate on the table and you've put in all that thing, you've tracked your food, but you're picking at little things, like even like an extra spoonful of peanut butter out the jar, or a couple of drinks at the weekend that you're not sure of, little bits of like an extra coffee a day is 200 calories. So all these things slowly start adding up. As you can see, like a teaspoon of peanut butter is 50 calories. So if you have once or twice a day, so let's call it 100 calories untracked twice a day, 700 calories. So obviously that is a big amount, and you might not actually be in the deficit. Error is one of the biggest things I've seen when it comes to people thinking they're losing weight and they're not. They're putting in the wrong portion size or the wrong codes of everything into MyFitnessPal. So just be aware of error. If you've not watched it and your weight not coming down, you should watch that video that I've put in the group. And then give me some reasons where body fat will be coming down, but weight isn't. We've touched on it there, muscle and water weight. Anything else? There's probably one main thing. When do you find your weight goes up? Girls, you should be getting this one. There we go, Amelia. Well done. Anything else? Does anyone? Yeah. Does anyone? What's the moon? Does anyone know why we add water weight when we are due, guys? This is Angelo, Danny. This is relevant to us as well. Pregnant, yeah. Yeah, probably shouldn't be on a diet if you're pregnant. But the reason, and we talk through it, and periods is such a good one, because periods / hormones and weight going up does turn you into werewolves. So if the moon is full on that night when you're due and weight's gone up, I don't want to be anywhere near you girls. Now I'm only messing. But again, it is good to talk about this. It's becoming more and more common. Like, it's hard for me to sit here as a guy and say, it's okay, don't stress about your period, because obviously I don't get periods. But I've coached enough girls over time to understand how much it can affect you. And I wish I could play it. I had a message off a girl yesterday for one-to-one client for a check-in. Messaged me last night stressing about everything, due, like going nuts, the weight's gone up more than, then get a 10-second voice note off her this morning saying, don't worry, panic over, it's come back down. Literally. And I wish I could play it right now. But yeah, the main reason weight goes up on a period is because of stress. When you're more stressed, you hold on to more water weight, which can lead to, like, obviously feeling bloated, feeling heavier. And obviously this goes same whether you're stressed through work, relationships, period, obviously. And then obviously as well, this is a bit more relevant, obviously, to the guys as well as you girls. You're overtraining, you're lifting heavier. Your muscles, when they repair, they soak up water and glycogen, which is your carbohydrate sources. We'll talk about carbohydrates very briefly. To repair muscle. And basically what they do is act like a sponge, but we all know a wet sponge and a dry sponge are exactly the same size, but your body, a wet sponge will weigh more, even though they're the same size. So, and your body is the same. So it's obviously soaking up all that water and glycogen. And we know glycogen, carbs can hold up to Same like salt can hold up to 3 grams of water per gram. So this is why when people say like the old sort of keto diets, as soon as they start keto, they drop weight and they see results so quick, it's because of that water weight. So rage week. But yeah, like that is what is happening. Your body's just dropping water when you obviously start keto. And then think about that. If when someone tells you keto, you've probably heard enough about keto now that like we know it's irrelevant, we know it's just water weight. So when it goes the reverse, just think the same. Your body is just holding on to that water to repair itself. It's just, your body's trying to protect itself. This is why we allow our body to recover, especially after training. And then we talk about like the scales themselves. And what I mean by the scales themselves, don't mean the scales are lying to you. If they're the same scales and are on a flat surface, they're most likely telling the truth. But you're weighing yourself at different times of the day. Obviously, most of you guys know that I get you to weigh yourselves first thing in the morning after you've been to the toilet. So that's why we eliminate like eating or drinking before you weigh yourself, or sometimes like obviously if you haven't been, what should we call it, number 2, a Brad Pitt, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't had one of them in the morning, like your weight may obviously not come down as much as the day before. So make sure you are having one of them every day. If not, it's probably an indication that you haven't got enough fiber in your diet or too much protein. A Brad Pitt. I was trying to think of the most politically correct, polite way of saying it, Lisa. And then obviously food, just as I touched on there, carbs. You have carbs later at night. This is the thing, like I get conscious saying this, but carbs later at night can cause weight to go up. But I actually quite like having carbs later at night because of the recovery. And obviously if it's got foods higher in fiber, your digestion's better. If you train in the evening and you go and have a meal higher in carbs, your body's under stress, and then it's going to hold on to water. And then unless you're drinking enough water throughout the day, it's probably going to hold on to it in the morning. And you'll probably find on days where your weight does go up, is if you've had like salt, carbs, and training your body, obviously, the next day, if you're drinking your water, you'll be going to the toilet every 20 minutes. Like, and you'll see the day after that, you've been going to the toilet consistently, like as much as that, the next day your weight drops down like half a kilo and you're like, oh, that's put me right back to where I want to be. So the sort of biggest reflection on this is don't stress on the scales, trust the process. If your weight does plateau, start having a look at measurements and progress photos, because that is a good thing. Like we call it recomposition. I'm actually going to post a transformation photo tonight, so keep an eye out on this. This is a girl who's lost barely any weight. She's exactly the same weight in both photos, and she's gone from like eating 1,200 calories and then now she's eating up towards 1,700 and maintaining weight, even losing weight at 1,700. So it's her scale weight did not really change, but her body composition is completely changed. So it's like we're looking at photos, we're looking at is fat coming down, is muscle being added, is food fluctuations that, and then we just remember it's over time. I've got a couple of the girls obviously in the group, which is good. You knew you were due, so you put a star next to it, where your weight's gone up, and then next month obviously you look at it, reflect it, has it come down month on month. So the best thing to do is track your food, monitor your stress levels, ensure you add in recovery, take measurements, take progress photos, ask family and friends if they see a difference, or obviously ask me as your coach and things like that. So that's should cover scale weight. Does anyone have any questions on scale weight and why not to focus on it? Or does anyone, even though they've heard all of this, still stress out even though they know why weight goes up and it still freaks them out seeing it? No, everyone's good on scale weight then. Yeah, so it's being aware of it will go up and down. It is normal. This is why I try and get people to weigh themselves at least 3 times a week, because it's normal to fluctuate. And the more you see it fluctuate, I know it sounds stupid, but it will stress you out less and less, because you're like, okay, that's normal, that's normal, that's normal. But obviously we want it to come down over time. And that's why you'll see on your spreadsheets, it says what's your average weight each week. On average, it should come down. And then if it goes up due to obviously like periods, stress levels, etc., but it goes up to the week before the same amount, you know, as soon as next week is probably most likely going to come back down. But again, and I bang on about it so much, water helps massively. Because if you think about water retention, the more you're getting water in, the more your body's going to process it, the less likely it's going to hold on to it. So yeah, keep your water in. The winner of the Scenic View Challenge, I think we take a vote in the group. You're allowed to vote for yourself, but we had obviously Emily's picture from Dubai. I think most of us were more obviously jealous of that. We had Malin's nighttime walk along the front, Michelle's sunset, Alex with the dogs. One of my favorite views is the marina in and around that. We had that in from someone. So are anyone brave enough to say what their favorite was? There's no right or wrong, it's your opinion. What are we going for? We'll call it sunset, Dubai. Us can't do Michelle. Sunset. Lisa's a sucker for a sunset. Sunset. We'll call it 2-2. Oh, Charlotte in there. And I think, yeah, Michelle, it's come through. Emily's not able to make the call because she is stuck in Dubai, and I think she's already winning. So, yeah, Michelle, well done on the sunset picture. It's nice to get it in. So this week's challenge is we're going to do a homemade dessert. I'll put the rules in for the dessert. So it's like, yeah, obviously most people probably use this on their higher days. But please, obviously, if there's anything you're stressing about, anything you want to know about food, making things easier, like I've probably said to quite a few of you this week, you're going to find the next 2 weeks quite tough, because this is what I'd say. Imagine you've got 2 energy tanks. We've taken rid of this energy tank. This is your main energy source, your carbohydrates, that's all stored. We're now going to start digging into your body fat levels. So you will start to feel a little bit hungrier. You will start to feel a little bit more agitated. Keep things very, very simple this week and the next couple of weeks, almost to just make sure you kick yourself through. The easier your meal prep, the easier your structured, like having them backup ideas, as like I spoke to Emma about before, are going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. So just get the basics ticked off. And if you do that over the next 2 weeks, you'll see massive physical changes in your progress pictures. And I think that's more evident over these 2 weeks than anything else. So it's why I'm sort of stressing. It's why you guys are going to get the heads up. And if you are stressed, like I had someone ask me today that they don't like sweet breakfasts and they've got savory breakfast and they've waited for their check-in to do that. And they asked if it's okay to eat eggs every day. Just post them sort of things in the group, because I'll answer it. Other people answer it, other people to get ideas. Like, so please keep posting the group. And I know a lot of you find it really, really useful. So yeah, well done to you guys on the call. Well done to Michelle for the sunset photo. I'm looking forward to obviously all the things coming in. Next week is week 4. I'll be sending something out week 4, because obviously we'll be at the halfway point. And then for week 5, what I've added this year is, last year it was optional. This week I am making it part of ELIMIN8. I'll be having calls with you all to see how you're getting on, and it's part of the ELIMIN8 service. So you get a free call, like a free catch-up call, to check out how you're doing, getting on, have a little chat at the halfway point, see what's going well, what's not going well. So that's been added this year. I've added it last week as one of the services going through, because I think it's important to see where people are at. So we all get a little one-to-one catch-up call from during week 5. So that'll be coming in. So anything there that you want to ask me, obviously that will be, but anything that you want to think might help the group, get it in the group. Anything from anyone else before I wrap up and finish this call? Anyone got a direct phone number to Shaw? Because I'm fuming. I'm trying to smile, but I'm on that case. Right, guys, well done, everyone. And I will have a wonderful evening, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.